Now I'm picking up on page 70 in the book. I need to add the grass in here, but I also need to take out this section that has too much because my selection tool added a little too much in here. So I'm going to, and this isn't covered in the book, I am going to swap over and use my subtract from selection and take out this area because it's not going to work for me to do the add selection for all of this unless I take something out of here. So I can just click and delete some of this, but then I have noticed it's taken out too much. I have to swap to my plus and bring some of this back in, or I've lost my crisp edge. So let me pull this back through and make sure that I have everything. So there's some areas right here that are semi-transparent, and I just need to bring those back in. And I'm not going to worry too much if I have a little bit of this area selected. Now I can go in with my plus on the detect edges thing and go back in and start pulling in that grass. And basically we're working the same way we did before. Use the shortcut key of holding down your space bar so that you can move the image around, or you can go over and grab the hand tool and draw your grass back in. I'm going to actually pause the video because I don't think you need to see 5 minutes of me just dragging this tool around. And of course you can refine some of the settings in the edge detection, and you maybe try smart radius if you'd like. You can pick up a larger area or make changes as you see fit and try some of the different settings. And I'll let you experiment with that on your own. When you're happy with the way your selection has turned out, I accidentally got some transparency onto her jacket sleeve and I needed to bring that back. When you're happy with everything that you've done, go into the output settings and output to layer mask. And then select OK. By doing the layer mask, we haven't actually destroyed those pixels. They're still there, but they're hidden under the mask. If you right-click on the thumbnail and choose to disable your layer mask, you can see that the pixels are still there. They're just hidden. If we were to choose to apply layer mask, it's going to delete those pixels. Let me undo that, and instead we're going to simply go back in and enable the layer mask. Read the section on understanding channels on page 73. It will tell you a little more about alpha channels, which alpha channel is what allows you to have transparencies. And then proceed on to page 74. Edit layer mask properties. Open up your channels panel and click to activate the sunrise mask and make sure that that's the layer you're working with. Double click the channel in the channels panel and change the opacity field to 100% so you can really see that layer mask. Oh, turn it back on. In the Layers panel, click to make sure that the mask thumbnail is active. In your Properties panel, if that's not open, go to Windows and find Properties. Change the feather value. Right now it's 0 pixels. Make it 25 pixels. What that's going to do is change us to a softer edge. And you can see that's actually too soft. So we want to change it down to a 1 pixel edge, which is just going to give us a nice fade around there. Sometimes too sharp of an edge can work against you. In your Channels panel, double-click the Sunrise Mask icon and change your opacity back down to 50% again. And in the Channels panel, you can turn off your mask. And you'll see in Layers, whether it's visible or not, you still can see that the mask is applied. We're pretty close to being done here, but we've got a few more things we need to clean up. Let's make all of our layers visible. I'm going to collapse down my Properties panel a little bit, and let's turn on all of the layers. And we need to change a few things around here. Drag your sunrise layer up because it's no longer wanting to be our background. We need that in the foreground. So we're going to pull that above the lightning layer, and you'll know it's there because you'll get that double blue line. And for some reason my lightning layer does not seem to be showing the transparency on it, so I'm going to have to go in and find out what happened to that. And meanwhile, let's make the tornado layer active, and we want to go into the free transform mode. I want to drag the bottom right corner handle until the transparent area in the bottom left corner is filled. I'm going to turn off my lightning just to see. I don't actually have a real transparent area down there. So I cropped my person a little bit different, but if you do, you're just going to have to drag this down a little bit and check or enter to accept the change. I have a horrible harsh edge over here. I have too much of that lightning that's left. So I am actually going to go in to the lightning layer, and I'm going to turn off the sunrise, and I'm turning off the tornado, but I'm going to go back in and I am going to pick up my mask tool, and I'm going to do some quick select and mask, and I am going to add some more of the transparency around here. I'm not going to use my quick select to, as far as the detect edges. I'm going to use my brush tool, and I'm going to get a larger brush, and I want this to be a soft brush, so I'm going to take it very far down in hardness, and I am going to add some brush work to this, and let me see if that's taking my transparency out or if that's adding to it. Problem solving is a great way to learn this. So let's take a look. Let me bring my transparency up, and I'm actually adding in, so let me do a subtract to this, and I want to take out this area so that I have a soft brush edge here, which I didn't have before. So let me take my size up a lot more and take my hardness down even farther, because I want to take this out because that harsh edge that I have in here is looking really bad. And I'm trying to mimic what I had before. Now I can go back in and I can pull my transparency back out and get that little trail there. And now if I click to accept this, let's go see what this looks like when I put her back in and the tornado. And I still have some issues with that. But you know what? We're going to take care of some of that. We're going to change the layer opacity now for that layer. So let's select this layer, and not the mask, but the layer itself. And I'm going to change the opacity on that layer down to 35%. That way the lightning is coming through, but not so much of the rest of that storm. Okay, so we have some darkness there, but not so much. And I can actually go back into my lightning layer if I would like to, making that the active layer, working with the mask itself. I can go in with a brush and using a very soft brush, I can go in here and play with my layer mask. Using the layer mask depends on whether I'm working with black or whether I'm working with white. And I can add or I can take away. You can see here I'm just deleting some of that mask. Or I can go in and paint with white and I can put some of that darkness back in if I'd like. So if I want all of this to get some more of that darkness coming, I can do that, swap back and get rid of that edge. So you can edit this in multiple ways. Now that I'm happy with the results and I think the lightning looks a whole lot better, I'm going to go in and I'm going to save. Turning all of the layers back on, we're ready now to save this file, and we're going to save it for multiple different media. So this is going to have several methods of saving out. We can have Photoshop files, JPEGs, we can have PDF files. PNG is another raster-based format. It supports continuous tone and transparency. A JPEG does not support transparency. TIFF is also a raster-based image format. It supports layers, it supports alpha channels, and it has file compression. We are going to save this as a TIFF file first off. Now TIFF files will support all of your layers, but you can also flatten these. A flattened TIFF file could be used for an album cover sleeve as well as for most print advertising requirements. So we're going to go into here, make sure your file is saved to start with, because you want that original PD or PSD file, and then you're going to do another save as, and this one I'm not saving to cloud, I'm saving on my computer, and I'm putting this in. So I have CD artwork. I'm going to change the name to add -album, and I'm going to pick to save this as a TIFF file, which is way down at the bottom, and unchecking layers. If we were saving this as layers, we would have to make sure that we included the alpha channels in this, but we're only saving this as a flattened file, so we can go ahead with save.